Welcome into a very, very special Tri-Oval office. I don't know why it's special, I'll be honest with you.
I was about to
But
ask why it was special too.
look, it's been a day, okay? We were trying to make it through, but we got to watch a pretty decent race at Sonoma for the NASCAR Cup Series. Spoiler alert, SVG won this time because he didn't win the last road race, got mad, and he just was better than everybody else. I don't even think it was the car this time. Like, I think he won in spite of his car because no one
Yeah,
could really touch him once he got out ahead of everybody else.
he was better than everybody else.
Yes, he was able to save tires
That's
on
the
a level that no one could even dream of.
yeah. So not exactly surprised there. Kind of saw that one coming.
Good try, Mr. Briscoe, but not quite fast enough.
Nope, not quite. Maybe next year.
Maybe I doubt it,
He's
but we'll see.
he's getting he's right there. You never know. 2 years in a row, he's right
Mm,
there.
that's true. I mean, if there's going to be a track where he can catch him, it's here.
Yeah,
And whatever reason that SVG just can't run Coda, but Sonoma kind of feels like the place to get him of everywhere we go regularly because he's
yeah.
pretty untouchable at Watkins Glen, unless maybe like Busher or I guess Zilich come up and bite him. But Sonoma, he's gettable, and part of that is probably just because Trackhouse does not
Yeah, once Trackhouse is
have
faster, it's going to be lights out.
so. But Grant, how are you doing this fine evening?
Good. This is I think our first, it's technically our time recording on a Sunday night, and also the I can't remember the last time we recorded when it was light sky behind me.
It's been a minute,
I know. I opened the blinds earlier and I was like, man, we're gonna have a little bit of like a
a little
slight
bit of a
sunset. We got the facing. I'm facing due east right now. Got a
okay.
little
I
sun
like
behind me.
I like the reflection of the of everything on the TV in the background. It's fantastic.
Paid actor.
Yes, sets the vibe
Hmm.
perfectly.
Would have
So
never even noticed that, but yes.
before we get into really what happened, a lot of stuff happened in the mid pack today. Not a ton up front, but what did you think about this race overall?
It was fine. It wasn't anything special. It was boring, and then it was like everyone spun each other out for 45 seconds, and then it was kind of boring again. And then it was like at the end, it was like, never mind.
I think it was a very standard road race in the next gen era, and it was at probably my least favorite of the road courses that NASCAR has run in my lifetime. I just am not a big Sonoma fan. Nothing against wine country. It's just I can't ever really recall a thrilling finish that I've seen. I've seen great races at Coda. I've seen great races at Watkins Glen, and I mean Road America gave us some gems back then. I guess Mexico City. I'd maybe take Sonoma over
Yeah, that
Mexico
was a
City,
real snoozer. Other than that,
but
though,
I mean of all the places
San
that
Diego
we
too, which was so exciting.
yeah coming off of a San Diego race where it was a little bit manufactured, but at the same time, you could pass at Coronado.
Yeah,
You could pass. People were physical with each other. I think putting the NASCAR guys in such a narrow setting really, really helps them focus. Like it lets you, they're more, a mistake doesn't necessarily take you out of the race the way it does at Sonoma. Because even though you hit the wall, you're still on track. You're not, like Christopher Bell lost a bunch of spots today, or I forget who else it was, but a lot of people will get spun into the dirt or the grass, and you lose 20 spots because you have to get back on track and get back up to speed. Versus you hit a wall at Chicago or San Diego, you're still there, and it kind of just keeps everybody more in line. I think it's more fun that way.
yeah.
But
Or you block the entire field like the 17.
for real, well, the 77 did a good job of it today with
Yeah, that was a
no
moving roadblock there for a bit.
started on outside pole and did not.
Yeah,
I don't know what was up with that car. I guess he burned his tires up on lap one, like flat
probably.
spotted them. That was a problem apparently all the Spire cards had today, and just interesting. I'm not
Yeah,
exactly sure what happened to a lot of our contenders, well, let's start there. A lot of teams we highlighted in our preview just didn't show up. Chris Buescher was out to lunch most.
Sucked. No, he
Out
didn't
to
even. He
lunch.
didn't even get lunch. He
Yeah,
went. He went
he.
to the cafeteria to get lunch, and they were out of food.
So, and then like we expected, 2311 was fantastic at Coronado, and none of them were good
Terrible.
today.
They
Like
also
even
they were being headhunted by Todd Gilliland.
that is true, but to be within Todd Gilliland's range, you have to be in the back of the pack.
That's true.
So, and Tyler Reddick, like I know he had power steering issues, so he finishes dead last, but he wasn't fast before the power steering issues.
Yeah, he was back
So,
there in 15th to 18th.
and then like I mean, he was not good today by any metric. So unlucky, I guess, but 2311 zero speed. Hendrick had zero speed. We mentioned them though
What?
as we knew that they were going to be very, very slow here, except for Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson was pretty good. Comes away with another top five finish. He comes away fourth. But then your next highest finishing Hendrick car is 10th, with Bowman, Byron's 12th, and then Chase Elliott 17th. So for
Which
Hendrick
is not bad for
cars,
getting spun.
that's true. But for Hendrick cars, I think we expect more, especially considering how dominant this road course program was just a few years ago.
Yeah.
But they've been out to lunch recently.
I'm shocked they finished that well.
Yeah, it didn't feel like they were
Yeah.
anywhere
It was
near.
like all I ever it was they panned to Byron and it'd just be him getting passed. And like it didn't feel like they and Bowman got 10th. I didn't even see him hardly all day.
It was a very, very good day, though, for Joe Gibbs Racing, which they struggled last week when 2311 was on. So 2311 was off this week. Joe Gibbs Racing came to play. I mean, they were off it. I can't say letters. I think all four JGR cars were in the top 8 during stage 1. And they were there on speed. It wasn't like they just all qualified up front.
Yeah.
So Denny Hamlin got a bit unlucky. He was running pretty well, especially for his standards at a road course. He gets spun during a stack up. He comes away 26th, which is just good enough. He got a little bit of help. Ty Dillon finishes 35th, so he will move on to the end-season challenge, but it got a little dicey there towards the end. But outside of that, I mean, Ty Gibbs, I think, probably had the best car all day.
Oh, by
And
far. Yeah, probably by far. Him and Briscoe.
Briscoe finishes second. Christopher Bell with a broken wrist. That's probably my most impressive performance all day. Christopher Bell, broken wrist. You've come home fifth.
Yeah, he
Desperately
did
needed for
say
that
though
20th.
the whole day he's like, I didn't even have any pain at Coronado. They just told me to get out of the car.
That is true.
So I was like, that's which I understand there because you hit like you're talking about the walls. You hit a wall there and that wheel spins at Sonoma because of the dirt. Like when he got spun at the dirt or whatever, if he hits the wall instead, like he might re-break his wrist. So
well,
it
also,
was
I
it was
mean,
still impressive because he's racing in a cast. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like
well, and Sonoma is a
it's
purpose-built
smooth,
racetrack. It's
very
not
smooth.
like Coronado where we're jumping the hill every
Yeah.
single lap. So I understand that like this was always going to be the easier of the two races.
Yeah, I think he's wheels up. I think he's fine.
Yeah, so we'll see. I want to see whenever they go to a place like Atlanta or Indianapolis where you have to make quick blocks, how he does. But I think that he's probably going to be not 100%, but close to it the rest of the way.
Well, can you wait 14 days? I'll ask him.
Oh, yeah, I forget about that. Good day for JGR, like we mentioned. And that is reflected in the fact that we have a new points leader for the first time all year. Denny Hamlin, now your points leader by 1 point over the car he owns, Tyler Reddick.
Did
Who
you
is on?
email him to congratulate him?
I thought about it.
That was one of the best looking Yahoo paint schemes. I don't know what they did with the black and the little yellow accents. They painted
looked
it, and I was
really
like,
good on
man,
track.
that thing looks amazing. It was really good looking. That was a sharp scheme.
So, and that's something else I have. We'll get into my feelings for Sonoma Raceway a little bit later. But I think that I'll follow up with this. Denny had got a bit unlucky, but he picked up some stage points, so it is what it is for the 11 team. They don't expect to contend for a win. at a road course. So it's not a big harm, and he manages to come away the points leader because Tyler Reddick had a terrible day. So these are back to back terrible weekends for Tyler Reddick, who got really unlucky at Coronado,
Yeah.
and then this time, just a mechanical failure. Those are going to happen once or twice a year. It's probably better to go ahead and get it out of the way now than to do it in the chase. But I know it stings right now because this was supposed to be a track where he could gain some more ground on Denny Hamlin. And he went from 2 road courses like, oh, I'll build my lead back up, and actively lost it. So I'll say, or I'm going to ask you this. Do you think there's any chance that Tyler Reddick wins the regular season championship?
Absolutely. There's a chance. Oh, yeah.
Well, how good of a chance do you think it is? Like, do you think they're?
I'd say it's sub 50, but I wouldn't give it much worse than 40. Looking at the tracks we have left, I mean, where he had a mechanical failure, unlucky, and then a brand new road course where he was second. Like, he was running really well. He just got unlucky and cut a flat.
But you got lucky to even be up that high, but still, yes.
Yeah, lucky. I mean, we say that, but we kind of like recency bias because he's not been great recently. We forget what we were saying 2 months ago. We're like, this dude is on a generational heater. He's unstoppable. Like, he could do that again.
That is true.
It's not like he lucked into those 5 wins. Like, we talked about last episode what he did at Atlanta with 3 fenders. I mean, the dude's an animal. He could totally do that again. He could win the next 5, and I'd be like, yeah, I could totally. There's a world where I could envision that.
Well, let's just go down the list because they're basically tied. I mean, one.
That's what I'm saying. That's the other thing. Like, is there a chance he wins? Like, that would be crazy to say no, considering they're tied.
Yeah,
because Denny could also have a mechanical failure next week.
It's just momentum feels so firmly in the hands of Denny Hamlin,
and it has been for a month and a half. And the 2 tracks where it was like, all right, these 2 tracks are like to get right because Denny sucks at road courses. And it was like, oh, now I'm not even the points leader.
Yeah.
That's got to be a little demoralizing. But at the same time, like, I wonder what the dynamic is in team meetings.
Driver Denny versus owner Denny. It's got to be friendly. I mean, they're both in a very good position.
Yeah, you can't be really mad. It's just kind of like it is what it is.
Well, let's just go down the list of our remaining tracks. Who would you lean at Chicagoland?
Denny.
I think it's got to be Denny.
Yeah.
Atlanta, I lean Tyler Reddick. Denny's been kind of terrible there.
I would lean Reddick handily.
Yeah, so North Wilkesboro, Joe Gibbs Racing's just been better on the short tracks than 2311 this year. I would probably lean Denny, but Tyler Reddick could win that. I'm not...
Yeah, I could go 50-50 there.
Indianapolis is one of 2311's best tracks.
Yeah, I was about to say Bubba won last year, but also, I mean, they're both in Toyotas, and they're both going to be making stupid power. So, again, I could go 50-50 there.
And it's also Denny's the one crown jewel that he's not won.
Yeah, and he's been there a lot.
So, we'll see. I think that's probably another 50-50 toss.
So how many tracks are we down the list right now? 5?
4.
4. And we've said 1 is pro one guy, 1's pro the other guy, and the other 2 are split 50-50. I think there's a shot Reddick can.
But see, this stretch right here is where I think Denny is going to have a big advantage. Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire.
Richmond, New Hampshire, lean Denny. Iowa, I mean, I would go 50-50 there and then lean pro Denny on the next 2, especially Richmond.
Tyler was really good at Richmond last year, led a ton of laps and then had a failure. But Denny is fantastic at Richmond.
Denny loves Richmond.
That is one of his best tracks. So, and then Daytona is anyone's game. I'd probably lean Tyler Reddick, but you never know. You can get wrecked easily. Yeah. So, and there's going to be a lot of desperate cars on the bubble.
Yeah. Not as many desperate cars, but there will be some.
So, and there's not even a guarantee. Being first or second in the regular season does not guarantee you a championship.
No, but you'd want to be there over the next positions.
Yeah, you want to be first going in, but we'll see how it plays out. Something I wanted to talk about, and I've been thinking it actually for a few weeks now. Everyone's been talking about you need to be in the top 5 to win to get yourself a reasonable shot to win the chase. Do you think but the only exception to that is if you have a Tony Stewart like season where he didn't win before the chase, but then he rattled off 5 of 10 and came from behind, and I think technically tied Carl Edwards, but he had more wins than him, and so he's the champion. Do you think that we could get a result like that this year in the year returning to the chase?
Have
Because I'm
someone that hasn't won yet win 5.
win like 5 or 6 come from like 12th position or
I need to
so.
look at the standings
Because
to see who
my
would even be
brain,
capable of this. I lean immediately no.
I lean that I think it's more likely than you would imagine, just because who is back there. Because I think Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, or William Byron could get hot at any time and go on a run.
I would easily rule Byron out of that list.
Just because Chevy doesn't
I
have
would
the speed that Toyota has.
and Byron just has like, I don't know, man. Just the vibes are off there. Bell and Briscoe, yeah. I don't know, man. I have a hard time imagining them winning 5 out of the 10 races and somehow overthrowing the other 2 Toyotas.
Well,
It'd have to be a Toyota, and it would not be a Chevy, and it sure as heck ain't going to be a Ford.
Well, looking at the 10 races, and these are all places that Bell and Briscoe really like. Darlington, Gateway, Bristol, Kansas, Vegas, Charlotte, Oval, Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville, Homestead.
Go through them again, slowly. Sorry.
Okay, from in order for the
I'm just going to think about those 2 compared to the top 2.
Darlington.
Briscoe, possibly.
Briscoe is
He's good
really
there.
good there. Gateway. Really feels like a Christopher Bell track to me, but
They're going to get mollywopped by Denny.
really? Okay.
I think so.
Bristol.
You could open.
It's any of the Toyotas.
Yeah,
I think.
Any of them.
Kansas.
Denny.
Or
Reddick. Reddick's good there too.
Kansas is just.
It's just one of them 2. I don't see either of the other 2 outrunning those 2.
Vegas.
Possibly. No, but not. I don't have like an immediate lean towards the back 2.
Charlotte.
Not really feeling that one either.
Phoenix. Christopher Bell is fantastic at Phoenix.
He'll lose to Blaney, but
Or Hamlin again. Yeah. Talladega. All the JGR cars are
just flip a coin.
Yeah, Martinsville. Denny's going
to mop the floor with everybody else if he doesn't get wrecked.
Homestead, which is a
better hope you have a good lead over Larson.
Yeah, you need at least you probably have eliminated him by that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't have.
I think it's fully capable though, just because of the track types that someone could go on a run from outside the top.
The chances are, as I've said about many other things before, the chances are extremely low, but they are never 0.
I would say, though, I am with you. I think if it's going to be any of the people in the back, any from 6 on back, or maybe you give the 6 seed, but outside of the top 6 seeds, it's going to have to be Bell or Briscoe.
Yeah.
I just don't see anybody else. Like, Trackhouse has not had the speed this year. Maybe, and this is a very long shot, Hocevar goes on an all-time run. But outside of that, I mean, has anybody had...
The garage is not going to let that happen this year.
I just feel like, if he's in position, I think they're going to say,
someone's going to junk him, and it's probably Corey Heim from the pit box.
Hocevar is closer. I don't see Buscher having the speed to rattle off multiple wins in the chase.
The only way I could see him doing that is he'd have to win Darlington and he'd have to win Talladega, and then other than that, he'd have to get really lucky.
Bubba could maybe get hot, but I don't see him being that much better than Tyler over a 10 race stretch.
I just don't know if he can be consistent enough, nor make it through enough qualifyings to be up front enough.
Yeah, he doesn't qualify the best. That's been a problem for him this year.
It's not that he doesn't qualify the best; he just wrecks in qualifying every time.
That's happened what, twice?
At least three times. Enough to where at San Diego, he did the little fist bumps in his car that he made it through a practice in the qualifying.
Well, yeah, without wrecking. I mean, that was also just because it was a road course and it was a difficult course.
Like,
but
he's just like, hooray, I finally made it through one. And then the next week he chunks it in the wall.
He had speed before that, though.
He had speed after that, and then Todd Gilliland turned him into a tractor.
I'm looking through the point standings. SVG at least salvaged a chance to make the chase. He collected stage points in both stages because he was able to pit and he was able to flip and get stage points. Not enough to win like we saw him do at Coda last year, but or maybe it was what racetrack was that last year where he was able to pit. Yeah, no, he did it at Coda where he pitted and still was able to.
Or was it Mexico City?
I think he did it at both, where he just
was up by so much in Mexico City too. I still don't know if he's going to make it. I don't know. A lot will depend on his run in Atlanta, I think.
He needs a really good run at the places he's been at before.
Like Atlanta needs to be a really good one because he's going to be in for a new one at Chicagoland.
And I think he needs. Well, we might disagree on Chicagoland because
he's just never been there.
Yeah, but it's going to be so hard on tires that I think it gives him. He's really good at saving tires.
I'll be happily surprised, but I would be. If he finishes better than 25th, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, he right now, he sits 294 points back of the leader. Eric Jones is 17th, so that is the cut line, and so he is 36 points ahead of Eric Jones, which is one really bad race.
Yep.
So,
which is totally in the cards.
I don't think that is, if we've already looked at the schedule, I really think that there are some struggle tracks for him. So he's going to have to prioritize getting stage points when he can, which is easier said than done. Chicagoland, like I said, I think he'll be okay just because I think he'll be able to save tires better than a lot of the field. But Atlanta, he really needs to do well. I think he'll be out to lunch at North Wilkesboro. Indianapolis doesn't bode well for him just because Trackhouse has not done well.
He's not going to be able to put the power down or have enough power to put down.
Yeah, and Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire, all of those could go very poorly for him. I think he'll do all right at Daytona, but it's a coin flip.
But at the same time, you're also asking for maybe two really bad races out of those, and I heard at least 6. This could be terribles.
Yeah, I think he gives himself a shot, but losing for only collecting 1 point at San Diego really hurts him.
Yeah, big time. So basically screwed him.
I don't see him getting in at this point.
Me neither.
And if he doesn't get in, then Trackhouse is going to be held without a driver because I don't think Ross is going to be able to make up enough ground.
I don't either at this point.
Which
Trackhouse, to be fair, I don't know if they deserve a team this year in the chase.
No, they've been very bad. Ross is only 33 points behind.
Yeah.
So
he's a good runaway at I don't know. I mean, he led laps at Atlanta.
Well, he couldn't. He would get up front, but he couldn't
lead. No, he did this time.
Did he get a? Did he get one? I thought
it was last. Okay. I think it was last summer when we talked about it on the early pod, and it was like they just couldn't.
No,
it was at Daytona. It was at Daytona. They got out front, couldn't lead, and then we were like, "Oh, they can't lead." And then they got out at Atlanta, and we were like, "Wait a minute."
They were all up front still.
Yeah.
I mean, Ross is a very good super speedway racer. It's just going to depend. He's got 2 shots on that style of track. There's a chance that he's going to do very well at Chicagoland. I think that kind of plays into his style. Maybe you get a few early crashes and he gets up front, but it's not necessarily a great run of tracks for Ross Chastain. He has some momentum at the moment. Not the best race at Sonoma, but he didn't tank his
Yeah.
stock either. So I don't know. I just think that it's going to be really tough to make up 33 points without winning a race.
Yeah.
If he does win a race, though, then I think he's sitting
That's any
pretty.
of those guys, though. I mean, if anybody wins a
Looking
race, you just are automatically in such a better spot.
and looking still, I think Bubba now, because I expected him to run better than he did at. So I said that Shane is 36 points up, Bubba's 56 points up. So that is a much better lead. You
Yeah.
still can't blow more than maybe a race, though, and be totally safe.
Yeah.
Um, Looking back, Ryan Preece is pretty. He's only up one on Austin Cindric, and so he's got a 13-point lead on the cut line. Brad Keselowski is in striking distance. AJ Allmendinger, thank you for coming. I just don't see them having enough speed on the ovals.
Yeah. Even though he's only 1 point behind Brad, I just don't see it.
I just think RFK has more speed. AJ Allmendinger being better, though, than Joey Logano this far into the season
It's kind of hilarious.
is crazy. Michael McDowell, thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. I think we can pretty safely eliminate you. I still give Ross a slight chance, and I give Zane Smith a slight chance. But they
Ricky Stenhouse
have,
Jr. could win Atlanta and Talladega, or Atlanta and Daytona.
but he's from the cut. He's 70 points back.
If he won 2 races, he'd be
He'd
in.
have to win both.
Yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance.
There is a okay. By that logic, I mean,
Yeah, but he's like, that's like what he's like. He builds up his season for those races compared to other
that's
guys.
true. That is very true. Okay.
If nothing else, Hayek can run at the super speedways.
Realistically, I would be comfortable eliminating Zane Smith or Stenhouse, everyone 24th and back. Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger.
Yes,
And
I think
that would
that's the
leave,
right answer.
and then I think that leaves Zane Smith or Ross Chastain, who I think Zane has had the winning speed. He just has to keep himself out of trouble.
Yeah.
I think he can win a race, especially like Atlanta or Daytona. He's very capable of winning there. He's been one of, if not the best super speedway racers to not get a win in the next gen era. Ross can pop up at any time and just have speed one weekend. Joey Logano, I don't even know what to make of him right now. And maybe Brad's starting to turn around this skid he's been on. But I don't trust him to have more speed than Brian Preece or Austin. Well, I trust him to have more speed than Austin Cindric, but that's about it.
I think that's an accurate read.
And then if we have so many of these tracks where it's just high horsepower, where it's like it feels like you're going to have Indianapolis is going to be won by a Toyota. I feel like you can just pencil that in now.
Yeah.
And then Echo Park, anyone's guess, but I lean Toyota there. Chicagoland, 1.5 traditional, I lean Toyota there. North Wilkesboro can probably go to a Ford. They still have a pretty decent short track package, though Toyota is right there with them. Iowa's a short track. Richmond's a short track. New Hampshire's a short track. And then Daytona's anybody's ball game.
Yeah.
So Eric Jones has a chance here. And I would probably lean him over Brad K or Austin Cindric to get that last spot. But we'll see. We're really kind of in between from 14th on down. It's you have to execute every single race now.
Yeah.
Do any of those guys have a chance to win a championship though? You think?
From where on down?
I'll loop in Bubba into it as well. So Bubba on down.
No. Bubba SVG pre Cindric?
or anyone outside right now.
They have a chance to win?
Do you think? Yeah, to
No. I would argue if you're not in the top 5, you're not winning.
if you're not in the top 5 right now, you're not going to win a championship.
No, I mean like whoever's the top 5 going into the playoffs. I still have, even looking at the top 5 right now. I mean, if you told me I could take Hamlin, Reddick, Blaney, and Gibbs, the top 4 versus the field.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously I would take them over the field, but let's do this. Are you confident that Kyle Larson can win a championship
No,
this year?
no.
So no on Chase Elliott either.
I'm not. I mean, I'm not saying he can't, but am I confident? Like, what does confident mean?
Would you take him over? Would you, if you were putting real money on this, would you take him over Ryan Blaney? I
Yes.
know I would. Yes.
Yeah, I would.
Because I just think
He's been
yes.
heating up. I would. I think he's peaking at the right time.
Would you take Chase Elliott over Ryan Blaney?
No,
Would you take Chris Buescher over Ryan Blaney?
no,
Hocevar,
no,
Daniel Suarez,
no,
Christopher Bell.
no.
I think if Bell can rattle off a win before the end of the regular season, I think we might be looking at a run there. Same thing with Briscoe. I think
Blaney would be 5th in my yes/no
okay.
scenario. It would be the 11, 45, 50, 5, and then honestly the 54, and then the 12.
I think it's going to take winning races to win the chase. I don't think that. I know that Jimmy just got hot at the right time every year, but that's what it's going to take to win in such a small sample size. It's the perfect sample size where you probably need to win at least 2 races to win in the chase. Because, yes, you have an advantage for being the first seed, but it's manageable. I mean, all the way back to like 8 or 9, it's only a 1 race win is the difference.
Yeah,
So if you go to a place like, if say Kyle Larson did what he did at, was it Bristol this year where he led like 300 laps and then just didn't win?
yeah,
What if he just pulls off the win that time, wins both stages? I mean, now you fall all the way up from 6th place to 1st.
yeah. It's possible. Larson would be 3rd in my title picks.
Yeah, I think if I'm judging right now off of point standings, I say for the people who can win a championship this year, I say Denny Hamlin can, Tyler Reddick can, Ryan Blaney can, Ty Gibbs can, I think Kyle Larson can.
That's it for me.
I think Chase Elliott could.
I don't think so.
I think Carson Hocevar could.
I also don't think so.
I think Bell, Briscoe, Byron. I think those are the only teams I would be like at any odds I'd be willing to put.
You could sell me, and you'd have to Jordan Belfort sell me on Bell and Briscoe, other than the top 5.
So yeah,
I think it may be more condensed than that. I think it may just be the 11:45 or the 5. I don't know if the 12 can do it. I don't know if Ford can do it.
I don't know if the 12 has the top line speed.
And I don't know if the 54 has the experience to do it.
So
not that that's mattered this much this year, but the higher pressure situations, I just don't know how that's going to pan.
Basically, it comes down to you cannot wreck in the chase, and you probably need to win 2.
Yeah.
At least.
There's a lot of guys that in the top 12 that check one of those 2 boxes.
Yeah.
And there's only a few that check both. Like I'd say the 11:45, 12, 54, and 5 check both. Elliott, I would say.
I don't think Elliott's going to do anything stupid.
I was about to say he's going to not wreck his stuff, but I just don't know. That winning speed has dissipated completely.
And then Chris Buescher.
He's not going to wreck his stuff, but I don't think he can win.
If he's going to win, it would have to be at like Talladega and Darlington.
It will be those 2. Those are the only 2. And there's a
So,
you could throw a dart and possibly hit at Bristol because he did it not too long ago.
but it's a very, very difficult thing. I think we definitely have an elite field, though, of champions. I don't think we're going to get a fluke champion like we've gotten in some years of the playoff.
No,
We
honestly,
could
what are your odds? It's not the top two.
55%.
That it's not the top two.
Yeah, I'd actually
You
go
think it's
higher. I'd say
less
it's
than you think it's less than 50% that it's not the top two?
yes.
I'd go the other way. I'd say it's 60%. It's one of those two.
I just don't. I think there's something to be said that I know Toyota has been winning on winning time this year, but it's really, really hard not to trust Hendrick in the clutch. Larson is the one giving me pause. I think that Larson is finding something right now, and he might go if he's. I mean, I don't think he'll get up to third, but if he's fourth going into it, he is one race win from being in first place.
That's true, but you could say the same thing about the other guys. They're one race win from putting a
Yeah, but Larson is
substantial
actually
gap on these
Larson
guys.
is. I feel like Larson is the one that gives me pause. Um,
So he's worth what percentage of the 60% other guys is he?
I would say 25 to 30.
Wow, you got
Blaney.
35. You got that's a lot of weight for guys that I don't consider to be very
Well, I'm giving him
tournament worthy.
and if I'm giving him 25%, I'm gonna give about 20 or 25% to both Hamlin and Reddick.
I'd elevate them. I'd say it's probably 30% Reddick, 30% Hamlin, and you're at 60 right there, and then probably 20% for Larson, and then the rest of the field you can throw all in a hodgepodge of the rest
yeah,
in the last 20.
that might be more accurate. I think I
And it
just would
may
not
be
be.
35-25 Hamlin over Reddick at this point with what
Ham.
we have left on the schedule.
I think we do have a real shot for an all-time championship battle, though, between Reddick, Hamlin, and Larson.
I hope that's what happens. I really don't want a runaway champion.
Especially after resetting. If we are really, really close at the regular season, then we reset and it's a runaway.
Yeah. Even if there is a runaway though, I hope it's Diddy.
I would selfishly really enjoy a Denny Hamlin championship.
Yeah.
Let's look at the in-season tournament. Our bracket was busted, at least in one quadrant where I don't think we got a single pick right.
I looked at a trash can and it was better than our brackets.
So we took Tyler Reddick over Alex Bowman. Reddick finished dead last. Oh, we did have Austin Cindric over Brad Keselowski, which was way closer than I think we thought it would be.
Oh my
We had
gosh, this is so bad.
Zane Smith did not defeat Carson Hocevar. I thought he was going to be better than him. He was not.
My entire top quadrant. I did my own one too. My entire top quadrant is cooked.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. Todd Gilliland was better than Daniel Suarez today. Daniel Suarez had some weird things happen. And we go down to the bottom quadrant. This is where I'm kind of proud of us. We had Briscoe over Allmendinger, which was
Yep.
one that was very close. Ty Gibbs over Dillon, obviously. We took Michael McDowell over Bubba Wallace. We were so close on the Noah Gragson over Chase Elliott upset. I am actually kind of.
That would have been
I
a
thought
crazy call.
I
Dang it.
thought we may have had it there, and I'm looking back at Elliott was 17th. Okay, maybe not all that close. Noah was 32nd, but Chase did not do well.
No.
We look on the other side. Ryan Blaney ran away from Josh Berry. SVG was not challenged, even though Ryan Preece had a really good day. William Byron easily over Stenhouse. Kyle Larson pretty easily over Riley Herbst. Christopher Bell, who we were counting on struggling with the broken wrist.
Should have made that change as soon as I heard that it was fine. But oh well.
Chris Buescher, struggled against John Hunter Nemechek. He had a very poor day today for what we expect out of him from Sonoma. Eric
Dude,
Jones,
somehow he finished 19th.
I just don't
And I
understand it.
and
I
I
know there
and
were.
I say that like shocking in a good way.
I don't
I thought
understand
he
how he got
finished.
up
I
that
thought he
high.
was 20. I thought he was 29th.
Insane. He was 29th most of the day.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what happened. He was like 17th. I got up for like 2 seconds off the couch, came back. He wasn't on the screen anymore. I look at my app and he's in 33rd. And I was like,
Just
what happened in
there
like
were
12 seconds? I don't know what happened.
there were a lot of spins in the mid pack.
He must have bent something. That's like the only explanation.
Denny Hamlin gets spun in a stack up and almost loses to Ty Dillon, but Ty Dillon gets spun in the final laps.
He
So
also
Denny
had no
Hamlin,
power steering, or was
that was
losing
a
power steering.
that was a Toyota problem today, apparently. So
Well, I guess it's Chevy Colin problem too.
yeah. Besides the top left quadrant, we're actually in pretty decent shape. We only lost one or two matchups outside of
Did
that
we pick
quadrant.
Zane or Hocevar? I forgot.
Zane.
Darn it.
So, because I was about to have Zane, I was really trying to get Zane Smith to the Final Four, and
Oh, that's right. If we had Zane Smith, if we got him to Atlanta,
yeah, because it was him and Reddick in Atlanta, and we're like, okay, this might actually be for the win,
and now they both are
and
already
they're
cooked.
both eliminated.
Next year, everyone's going to pick the 32 over the one, and the one's going to actually win.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the one's going to run away with it. So, I think we did decently considering.
Yeah.
But
We were too chalky.
and the one place that we did take like a major upset, it didn't happen, even though it was kind of close.
Almost happened.
It felt like if you get one other thing to go your way, it might have happened.
Yeah.
So, but we're still in decent shape. Of our Elite Eight, we have 6 of them still in it.
That's what you like to hear.
And 3 of our Final Four and both of our championship racers still in it. We talked about how this race was kind of boring compared to Coronado last weekend. We've talked a little bit about NASCAR maybe making some scheduling changes. Do you think that NASCAR should maybe try to replace this date with something else in Northern California?
Do I
Or
think
just
that they should? Probably.
or
It's getting a little bit boring. Do I think that they will? Probably not. It's
well,
kind
they
of like
talked about doing something on the Golden Gate Bridge. I know that's not feasible, but
I
they
talked
kept
about playing in the NBA once too. So
I think they kept showing shots of San Francisco between this and the Braves game. I think a San Francisco street race would be phenomenal. But
yeah, I just have to like dodge all the feces.
okay, now.
Hey, just tell them Xi Jinping's coming to town. They'll clean it right up.
Yeah, that's true. But we could do that. I also think we've talked about it for years. I don't know how it would logistically work out, but Laguna Seca's right there.
Would be sick.
I
Put him in
think
the corkscrew.
I would love to see Carson Hocevar commit an act of terrorism in the corkscrew. So, if nothing else, even if they only went there for a year, I think it would be more interesting than what I did when I looked at the schedule this week and said, "Oh, it's Sonoma." Oh, so I don't know. I'd also be more in favor of let's do Sonoma whenever we do the West Coast swing. Like maybe swap its spot with Coda.
Yeah,
I know that Coda would be unbearable this time of year in terms of heat, but
that would
I
be
think it
so
would.
brutal. But we go to Atlanta.
I mean, we do it. It's a night race though.
It's a night race, though. That's true.
And road courses are tough to race in the heat.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking
could be
up the map
interesting
real
though.
quick.
You do like a West Coast swing of you go. I think you go Daytona, and then you immediately do like Texas Motor Speedway, Phoenix, Vegas, Sonoma, or like Phoenix, Sonoma, Vegas. I think
You know what? You know what I say? I've been here one. I've been here before, and there's no way this would work. This would be so sick though. You race around the Ritz Carlton at Half Moon Bay.
Is that in San Francisco?
It's south of Half Moon Bay is like south of San Fran. It is magnificent down there. That place would be insane.
How far away is it from the city?
No, I don't want to see how much it costs to stay there. By the way, it's $1,000 a night right now.
Hey, we want to do an F1. If NASCAR wants to be F1, that's how you do it, right there.
Yeah. Ritz Carlton, Half Moon Bay. Directions from SFO. 35 minutes. And you could 44 minutes if you want to go down the Pacific Coast Highway.
Okay, perfect then. I think that would be cool. Let's do a street race up in
Half Moon Bay.
there.
That would be
Half
awesome.
Moon Bay.
Or,
And you still market it as San Francisco, but
I mean, if you can call Atlanta Motor Speedway,
it's
I mean, if I had it my way, I'd do it out like on 17 Mile Drive out there, like Carmel by the Sea. That's a good. That would be pretty awesome.
So, because we have to have something in Northern California.
This would be this would be around like Pebble Beach.
Okay,
that would be awesome. I
was
don't
gonna
know
say,
if the roads have the infrastructure for that.
I think minimum you need 2 races in California a year. The market's too big to ignore.
Look at it. You can do this offline, but 17 Mile Drive, that's the loop around Pescadero Point. This place, I'll drop it in our chat real quick. Imagine them going into this sweeping turn right here around on this little point. Would it be the most expensive place to do a road course? Probably.
Probably go from like 17 Mile Drive, take a right on to, or go straight there through Cypress, Cabrillo, around Padre Lane, back over onto Stevenson.
You'd have to loop. You'd have to loop around 17 Mile Drive, and you'd have to take Cypress down past like the clubhouse. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you could go Padre Lane to Ava Lane to back down.
There's some decent infrastructure. I mean, I don't know where the heck you put a pit road.
Well, I mean, there's already an oval there. If you zoom in on 17 Mile Drive. Well, it's not an oval, that's a fence, but it kind of looks like an oval from space.
It's basically an oval.
It's basically an oval.
I'm just saying that. Imagine them hitting that just long turn like that would be awesome. Just looking out over the coast.
It'd be a fun time.
It would be very picturesque.
If we're doing more street races, I think that this would be the first road course I'd replace.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that there's so many different ways to do it in Northern California or on the northern bit of the West Coast in general. Like, you could look at a Portland street race, you could look at a Seattle or Vancouver street race. So,
go to Victoria.
A lot of options. I mean, yeah.
In Canada.
So, I think there's a lot of options. I don't think NASCAR is going away from Sonoma anytime soon, but
no, it's too much of a... My phone just sent me, because of my the Google Maps thing, it says, get directions to your stay at the Ritz-Carlton. No, I'm not staying there. The Ritz-Carlton Half Moon Bay. How long would it take to be here to get there? Let's see.
38 hours.
30. Oh, it says 34 minutes. That's because it's from San Francisco Airport. Let's see my location. Okay. It would take... We're so off topic. Let's see how close you are. It's loading. It's 1 day and 13 hours. So 37 hours.
Wow. That was
smoked it.
Okay. That's what you get for going cross country.
Yeah. Also, that's without stopping. There's no way that's happening.
Oh, I know. You couldn't do it.
I'm doing the
Cannonball Run?
The Cannonball, yeah. Me and Ed Bolian.
I want to do the Cannonball Run so bad.
I
Like,
it would be cool,
genuinely.
but I don't want to.
I would do the. I want to do. I would love to get the EV record. It's because it's possible.
That's like the only breakable one.
Yeah, it's like the only one that's still kind of breakable because the technology is new enough
Yeah,
that you could still improve without spending millions and millions of dollars to do it.
yeah. I've got a Rimac and a Dream.
Basically, I've got a Rivian, and we're going to figure it out. All right, Grant, you want to take us out here, or do you have anything else you want to say?
I've got nothing else, but for me, at my beautiful stay here in Half Moon Bay, the Ritz Carlton, as you can tell, um, and Caden, I mean,
I've got the Tucker
you
Carlson hairline thing going
yeah,
on today.
you could convince me otherwise, and I've been wrong before. But if I'm not mistaken, this has been the tribal office.
It actually, unfortunately, has been. Yes.
Well, there you go.
Bye.
See ya.